What's up, Desktopers? Xavier Wills here for Desktop Bodybuilding, and we are back with another video. And today is my interview with Luke Sando, recorded only about 3 to 4 weeks ago. This is part 1 and part 2 melded together, so you get it in one big long interview. And this is a way that many people thought would be a great tribute to Luke. Now, if you guys can find it in your heart to please donate to Luke's family and specifically Luke's kids, there is a GoFundMe. There is a link in my description as well. We've raised a lot of money already, but Luke was obviously a great supporter of them, and now he's not around. So I think it's up to us with everything that Luke gave us. I mean, Luke was very generous with me. He gave me advice on certain things as well, and that just meant the absolute world to me. And now it's come out after his passing that he did this for a lot of other people too. So Luke was a very selfless guy. So please find it in your heart to donate. His kids don't have a father now growing up, which is absolutely heartbreaking. If you guys are out there, guys and girls, any of the Desktopers, if you are struggling mentally with anything, please reach out. Put it in the comments below. Be brave. Stand up and say that you're struggling. And the Desktopers, the Desktopper community will hopefully support you. And I'll try to get through all those comments and have a look at them. Now, these videos are getting a lot of hits, and the actual monetization of these videos that I'm putting up now about Luke Sando, the money will go to that GoFundMe as well. So the more views this gets, so by you guys liking this and commenting below, it will get more views on YouTube, and it will mean more money for Luke Sando's kids. So please find it in your heart to do that as well. And like I said, if you are struggling, there also are links in the description of this video as well to certain hotlines in the US, the UK and Australia and whatnot. And I'm sure you can just look up and Google in your country there. I'm sure there's prevention hotlines. So please, before it gets to a really bad stage, or if it is at a really bad stage, please reach out for help, whether it's to someone you know or, through one of these hotlines, because they really do help you. So anyway, I really hope you enjoy this video. You get a lot of laughs and stuff out of Luke. He's a funny guy, and we had a ball doing this interview as well. So hope you guys really do enjoy this video and have a moment to think about Luke Sando. Welcome back to Desktop Bodybuilding. Today I'm joined by one of UK's, if not UK's, #1 pro bodybuilder, Luke Sando. Mate, how you doing?
I'm good, mate. How you doing? You can say mate here, and it's not confusing for people.
Yeah, I know. I felt like I could say that to you, and not, when I say it to an American, it comes across as like, oh, hey, bro.
I find it more strange when American or Canadian people say mate to me.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's awkward.
I'm like, it just throws me off. I just want to kind of call him a jerk.
Does anyone say good day over there?
No, only if we. The only time anyone says good day is if the word Australia pops up, and then automatically somebody will just go good day, just because that's just the way it is.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's a massive. And for some reason, Americans always say good day, mate. They just go real slow, so it just doesn't work like that.
I say it when I've been to Australia. I say it as much as possible.
Yeah, just get it out of your system.
I'm like there with like a machine gun of good days.
All right, well, let's get into this anyway, man, because I want to go deep into how you got into the whole sport. Now, I've heard that, certain stories about you coming up and transitioning from being a drummer and being in a band to being, a bodybuilder essentially, but I haven't heard the stuff leading up to it, the things in between it. So let's get into, we'll ask you about obviously what you're doing right now in terms of training and all that sort of stuff a little bit after, but how did you,
what do you want to talk about?
With growing up, what, I suppose, inspired you, and what was your childhood like growing up and then getting into, obviously, drumming?
I had a pretty quiet childhood. I grew up literally in the forest, probably 40 minutes away from most of my friends. But I loved it. I had friends in the kind of village where I grew up, but I was quite secluded. I had a very outdoor upbringing. I was always out in the woods, always doing stuff outside. We also lived really close to the beach as well, so I grew up on the beach. So I mean, it was quite a very just understated growing up. Really, it's like nothing was competitive. I wasn't really privy to anything. I never lived in a town. It was very quiet. So from there, we moved slightly closer to the kind of town where I grew up, which at that point I met a lot of kids in the area who were massively into skateboarding, and that was just my thing for about 5 years of skateboarding.
So what age was that?
That was probably maybe 11 to 16, maybe.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So after skateboarding, how did that then lead into, I suppose, drumming and then bodybuilding?
Well, I guess the thing with the skateboarding, I mean, during that point when it was popular, the kids were into it. We were all a bit nerdy as well, so we liked comic books. I love comic books anyway. So we had that. So when you're into comic books, you see a lot of muscle. You see a lot of these massive guys, especially like Hulk, things like that. And I was always gravitated to that, and all the characters I was most interested in always happened to be the biggest and the strongest guys. And also when you're in the skateboarding scene, I don't even call it a scene. There's only about 6 of us.
He's on the scene.
The type of music I listened to was a lot of pop punk, like at the time, and I loved Blink-182. Travis Barker is the man, and I basically just became obsessed with drums from then. And it kind of all intertwined at the same time. So in terms of bodybuilding, I mean, in my head, I just always was fascinated by strength and muscle. So that's where the seed was was sown, I guess.
Yep. And when did you, I suppose, see your first top pro bodybuilder and go, wow, look at that dude? Because I've got my own experience where I see certain amateurs and I was like, I want to look like that guy. I want to look like that guy. And looking back, they weren't that impressive. But then I sort of realised.
In 2011, which is when I decided I was going to start bodybuilding, there was a pro show in England. Had a little expo attached to it. And I'd been bodybuilding for a few months. And I saw I can't remember who it was. Actually. I know I saw a pro in person in a tank top. And I was blown away by it, but exactly at the same time thinking, I can do that. That's attainable. I think
Really?
in my head, I was like, I can do that. And I was walking around with my son's mother at the time. She was massively pregnant as well. And we sat down, we watched we didn't want to walk around the expo too much because obviously Leo was about to come out. So we actually just watched mostly the 212 prejudging and the open class prejudging. Branch Warren won the open, and it was 202 at the time, and Flex Lewis won the 202. And when I was watching that, when I was watching the show, I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. And I think that was my first real introduction to bodybuilding, and made me decide this is what I want to do.
It's funny, man, because that's actually a time where I was following bodybuilding, and I've been training for quite a while, obviously not to a very high level like you, but it's funny that I was following bodybuilding then and then competing myself, and that's when you just got into it, and it makes me feel sort of like, well, like you've moved up pretty quick.
I've come up really quickly. Thinking about it, it's been phenomenally quickly, and I think that's why, in a way, it blows my mind how I just mentioned the winners of those two shows, of the 202 and the open. Like, I know both of those guys, mostly more so Flex on personal levels. Like, I have both of their numbers now, and just that, looking back, and that was only 9 years ago.
Yeah, it's not long.
It's fucking crazy actually thinking about it. You're making me reminisce. And now my mind's just blowing inside. That's crazy. Yeah, but yeah, thinking back at all that, it's been crazy.
Yeah, definitely. And obviously that quick emergence onto the scene. When did you first compete, and then when did you first, I suppose, when did you turn pro?
So from that point, that's when I was like, I'm doing a show next year. So I'd been training a few months with bodybuilding, and I chose my first show, which was in April or May in 2012. Yeah. Which was the UK BFF, which is like was our version of the NPC here. Did the South Coast. I actually competed as a junior because I was still 23 at the time, and I won that. I nearly won the overall. I had amazing, phenomenal feedback. I mean, I was really, really not in shape, but I was very big, and my structure and the shape was there. I was probably the biggest in the show, and I'd only been training about a year, properly for bodybuilding, and I kind of reaffirmed it in my head that I was like, okay, there is something to this, and I was like, but I'm now going to be doing the British now, so I've qualified for the nationals essentially, and because I turned 24 in August, and the show was in October or September. It was October actually. I had to do a men's class, so I was like, I've got to take it up a notch. I have to. So I hired a coach, and that was Nathan Harmon at the time. He's a great guy, great coach. He's had a lot of success. He's prepped Willie Winkler, and he's always helped Sean Tavernier. So he helped me for the British, and obviously doing a men's class, I was like, I have to be in shape. And I don't know how to get in shape because I'm so new to this. I just know I have to do cardio. I'm not very good with the specifics, and I'd rather somebody take the reins and just get me in shape. He got me in shape, and I ended up getting second. So, again, in my head, I was like, okay, so I've gone from a junior to an adult, a junior to a men's class. Now I'm second in the country in this weight class. After just about 18 months of bodybuilding, I should probably stick with this, and I love it. And then I turned pro in 2016.
Wow, that's incredible. That's such a quick rise. And what was that first contest you did, which was the Arnold Classic, I believe, in Columbus?
Yeah, it was. That was an accident. Looking back, I'm really glad I did it, but I shouldn't have done it, really.
Yeah.
So I turned pro in October. Yeah, it was October. So won the overall, the British title, won the supers in the overall. And then my girlfriend and I, we went away for about 2 weeks, all-inclusive holiday. Just so many pastries, man. Just a lot of ice cream. Just didn't stop. Got back, blob mode. Wasn't going to. I didn't train for another few weeks. I was just enjoying life because I'd put a whole year into turning pro. I was like obsessed. Got really fat, and then Ed Connors was looking for my Instagram, and he messaged me. I'm sure a lot of viewers are familiar with Ed Connors. If you're not, just research. He said, "Oh, you should do the Arnold Classic. You have exactly what they should have there." And I was like, "Yeah." He didn't believe a word this guy was saying. And then he was like, "I'll put a recommendation in there for you. Would you consider doing it if you got an invite?" And I was like, "Yeah. Of course, it's the Arnold." Not really taking it seriously. Then I got an email saying, "Would you be willing to do the Arnold?" And I was like, "Fuck." And I was like, "Yeah, I have to do this." Called up my coach, who was Justin Harris, and I was like, "Mate, I'm so out of shape. The Arnold's in like 14 weeks." And I'd just come off a whole year of just hard going for my pro card. So I hadn't had any rest, and I was really out of shape. My body was not responsive, and I was out of shape, and I jumped into a contest prep. Looked like shit, but the experience was phenomenal, and I think that kind of gave me a platform to kind of, because I was seen by so many people, and from that point, people just, I think it kind of accidentally gave me a name, and then I had to prove that I was worthy of being on that stage, if that makes sense.
For sure. And when I saw you compete there, that was the first time I'd seen you. I hadn't seen you when you turned pro. I saw you when you showed up at the Arnold's, and I thought, okay, he's one of these guys that got an invite because he's from another country. Okay, he might just be filling in the gaps sort of thing, and maybe he's a guy that typically places 10th or 5th to 10th at smaller shows. And then the next year you came in, that was 2018, and you did a bunch of shows, and you improved, obviously. But you still hadn't obviously realised your potential in terms of conditioning and things like that, I believe. Mm-hmm. And then, I was sort of thinking, okay, this is going to be one of these guys that maybe comes in out of condition a few times, that sort of, you see the potential there, and you're like, just a little bit more. But you obviously realised that in 2019, which we'll get onto. But 2018 at the California Pro, you had what was a pretty scary experience. And I pretty much just want to ask you, did you almost die?
Yeah, 100%. Like 100%. I was pulled into intensive care, and the consultant just looked at me and was like, "I don't know how you're still alive." And I just kind of started laughing, and he, like, more out of shock, and he was just like, "This isn't funny." And I was like, fuck. He didn't understand how I didn't die.
Wow.
Because my potassium had got so high. I'm looking back at this, it was so much me just going, I'm fine, and I wasn't fine.
Yeah. I
even went back to the hotel room and tried to sleep it off. I was there for 6 hours on my own. I should have gone to hospital then, but because I'm so stubborn, I was like, I'm fine. Potassium levels in my blood just kept building, and the doctor said your heart just should have stopped. I don't understand.
So what does that feel like when your potassium levels are that high? Can you give us an example of what that might feel like? Is it like going hypoglycemic or something? Or
no, it's like it's really. I just felt like I had zero energy. My whole body was just not really. It was sluggish and like tight. Like my whole body was too tight, and I just felt like I was going to die. It's hard to explain. It was just shit. And like I couldn't. Like if a T-Rex walked in. Don't know why I said T-Rex, but if a T-Rex walked in, I wouldn't be able to run away. I'd probably survive, actually, because I'd just be still. The point is, I wouldn't be able to move. Even no matter how terrified I was or anything, I couldn't have moved.
Well, that's pretty scary. And you were working with Chris Sando at the time as well. And I actually remember after that, you stopped working with Chris, I think so. You went on a podcast, and I did hear you say you don't know if you'd work with him again or something along those lines, and that was straight after.
A lot, yeah. I didn't stop work. Well, I did stop working with him because I just stopped everything for a while. But a lot of it was just I was angry and I was looking for somebody to blame. Really.
Yep.
I never did blame Chris, but I always thought, well, he should have known. He should have known better. And then looking back, me saying I'm fine. Honestly, I'm fine. I'm fine. If I kept telling him that, he's going to think I'm fine,
Yeah.
you know? And I'm dying, and Ben can see that I'm really not well. But Chris doesn't quite know that.
Yeah, and sometimes it's hard to like take responsibility for certain things. I know when like I lose something around the house, I'm like, which one of the kids put it somewhere? And half the time I'll just put it somewhere, you know. So,
but he kept saying things like, "Are you getting headaches? Are you getting cramps?" And I wasn't getting headaches, and I wasn't getting cramps. Weirdly, so he. I mean, it was, and I did honestly have a stomach bug, like a food. I ate something bad because I started vomiting about 2 days before this happened. Yeah. I started getting sick. We were actually in the is it fire station near God's? Firehouse?
Firehouse, yeah.
Yeah, firehouse. I was having a bob bowl, and I was just halfway through it, and I just was like, I'm going to be sick. And I was just sick, and from that point on, I started going downhill.
Yeah, that's scary too. I feel like when you're vomiting, you feel like, yeah, I could die here, when you don't know what's actually going on with your body. So.
So because I was vomiting, and I couldn't put the fluid, I couldn't put fluid in. I couldn't hydrate. If I could put fluid in, my body probably would have started balancing itself out, and it would have started passing the potassium out.
Yeah.
This is what the doctor was telling me. But because I was being sick, not only is that making me more dehydrated, it was allowing my potassium to go up, but it was also stopping me from getting hydrated from obviously the water. And because I couldn't hydrate at all, where the potassium was building up, it was making me go hypoglycemic, which was making me throw up even.
Okay, yeah, so that's not good.
So it was a vicious cycle, yeah. So the more I threw up, the more it made me throw up because I was getting so dehydrated and hyperglycemic. Hyperkalemic, sorry. Hyperkalemic, and it was horrendous.
Yeah,
but
that's
that didn't
scary.
start happening until the day of the show, because the day before the show I was actually okay and I was eating and drinking again. But I didn't feel great. But yeah, it was an absolute shit show, and I should have pulled out before, but I was being really stubborn because I thought you're supposed to feel like shit on the day of a show. And yeah, it was complete stupidity on my part.
Yeah, and then going into 2019, obviously you started working with Chris. At some point after that, it wasn't obviously that crazy long of a distance between, you know, the California Pro and the Arnold Classic in 2019. So when did you start working with Chris again? And
Chris and I actually did keep in contact because he is just a good person anyway.
Yeah.
And we get along really well. So we actually just used to message each other about other things. And then one day I was just like, I know everything that happened with us, and we knew everything. And I said, would you consider going at it again? Because after a lot of thought, I don't think I would want to work with anyone else, and I didn't. I was trying to think who would I want to work with, and I didn't want to work with anyone else. And he was like, of course, because Chris is great, and we just went from there.
Yeah, and was that around the start of your prep for the Arnold Classic 2019?
It was right at the end of the off season, yeah. When I started saying I want to have another crack at the Arnold, and I wanted to redeem myself in a big way. That's why I chose the Arnold, just because I thought it's a good business decision in terms of being well known and getting a lot of views. And if I do achieve what I want to achieve, I will make a very big. I'm back. So we started working together again, and because obviously what we'd learned, I knew my communication had to be better.
Yeah. I
had to tell him if I wasn't happy, I'd have to tell him. If I wasn't feeling good, I had to tell him. He's not going to just know from looking at fucking pictures.
Yeah.
So I kind of made the decision that I had to carry my side as well. I had to carry the load my end a bit more. And it was great. And exactly what we did. Now the communication has been perfect, and everything's been great since then.
Yeah, and it seems like obviously the communication is pretty high, because it seems like he gets all his clients to send photos daily from a certain point in the prep, or I don't know, maybe it's a whole prep, but it's pretty insane.
With me, it's pretty much the whole prep daily.
Wow, that's crazy, because I have trouble sometimes getting photos from clients weekly, and they'll be in the wrong spot and no lighting.
People always say taking pictures is really difficult. All you need to do is get yourself one of these. It's a little tripod here. Put your phone on it, video yourself posing, and when you get to your video, you pause the video, and then you just move it along with your finger to the poses, screenshot, move it along to the pose, screenshot, and there your pictures. You don't need any help. You can do it on your own wherever you are.
Smart, man. It's just funny how people just seem to struggle. I don't have anyone to take the pictures. I'm like, put it up against something. Set a timer.
I've actually got a generic email written out with like a diagram with like pictures on it of how to do it. That when I send that with all my when I used to work with clients, like I only started doing it with the last handful because I was sick of people asking and also giving up the excuse. I just send that with their like pack when they start with all their program. I send them that as well.
Yeah. You really have to lay things out for people sometimes. I know, like, I've said certain things in plans and it's been misconstrued. I'm like, no.
Yeah. But in all fairness, it's one of those things that are so obvious you wouldn't think of it.
Yeah, for sure.
When you think of it, you're like, everyone I've talked to that everyone's just like, oh yeah, it's so fucking obvious.
Yeah.
It's a good little trick. So yeah.
Now, I don't know how we even got onto that, but let's go back to 2019 and that Arnold Classic. Now, coming into that, did you think you had the chance to be top 3 and really make a name for yourself? Because coming out of that Arnold, you were really the talk of it because you weren't being predicted top 3 by many people at all. I had you, I think, maybe 6 or so.
I wasn't even being predicted top 6 by anyone, really.
Wow.
I said, when I started, I said, Chris, can I be top 6? And Chris was like, you can be top 3. And I was like, well, let's do it then. And the whole time publicly, I was saying, I'm aiming for the top 6. I'm aiming for the top 6. In my head, I was like, I want to be 3rd. 3rd's my goal. And that's what I visualized. And I was like, let's just do it. And Chris saw me 6 weeks out because he came to the UK for a tour with Sean Roden. And they both came to the gym. And they both looked at me. And Sean just tapped me on the shoulder and he says, 3rd.
Really?
Yeah. And Chris was like, yep, 3rd. And that was it. But the game plan was for 3rd from then on, pretty much. And
That's
then
amazing.
when we got to the show, and I started like drying out. We didn't really do much. My body just started going again. It was almost like my body knew it had to be ready for that exact moment.
Yeah.
And just started getting itself ready. And it was such a nice final week because everything just happened perfectly. Nothing was forced. The setup was really nice. And then Chris was like, you're either going to be 1st, 3rd, or 6th, depending how they judge this, depending on who he thought was going to win. He had all these different scenarios, and I got 3rd, and it still blows my mind.
Yeah, and you got 3rd, obviously, to 2 really good competitors, Brandon Curry and William Bonac, who went to get 1st and 2nd in the Olympia as well. And then, obviously, Bonac's gone on to win the Arnold Classic this year. Yeah. So that's pretty amazing.
Yeah. It was, and that just kind of goes to show where my body is. It's like if my body's nice and fresh at the start, and it's like, and I'm responsive, I can produce a very good package, so to speak. But if I'm tired, no, it just won't happen.
Yeah, and it's funny, the way I've actually heard you speak about that on other podcasts, I relate to that so much because, I competed on a real short prep last year, and I'm doing men's physique, which is, I know, your favourite class, but I came into that and I did a short prep and went from looking like crap at the start of it, and people were like, I put up before and afters, and people were like, Photoshop and blah, blah, like, and all this sort of stuff. I was like, no, I actually did it, and my body responded amazing. I dropped fat really quick, put on muscle easy, and then I went to prep, when was it? Well, I was going to prep a little bit after that, and my body, I was like cutting down. I'm like, I'm eating less calories than before, and I'm not losing as quick, and I'm not responding, and my body just looked tired, and it's sort of something that's hard to explain.
I hate saying it because it sounds like a fucking excuse.
It sounds weak.
And it's not. It's like the more tired I get, the more effort I have to put in. For that Arnold prep was a piece of piss. Like, it wasn't even remotely difficult. I was having cookies every day, bagels for breakfast, like 30 minutes of cardio. It was easy because my body was responding. And then you look at and then I did the Australia and Indy. Australia was completely my fault, kind of, because I flew in a day later because I forgot about the time difference. Yeah. And I was so dry. I faded so quickly, and it just didn't go well. I looked okay, and then Indy. That was again after two or 3 weeks of constant traveling. I'd gone from UK to the States to UK to Australia back to the UK, and then UK back to the United States, all within 2 weeks. So and that's, I'm not saying, and I drank the water, I did every meal on time, on track, slept when I was supposed to, but my body just didn't do it because I think there is an element of the travel and the stress on things, and you have to kind of let your body kind of get used to, or flatten off, or level off, or whatever. But that's something I learned, is that doing things when forcing it and traveling a lot doesn't agree with me.
Yep. No, I totally agree. I'm the exact same way as that, man. But let's move on through that year. Obviously, then you went on after that to compete in Tampa. You competed and pretty much went head-to-head with Dexter Jackson, who's won more pro comps than anyone in the history of the RCB Pro League.
And I felt, and Tampa was, again, pretty easy, because after Australia, I had a couple of weeks off and I rested, went back into Tampa. And because things were, I didn't even know I was going to do Tampa. We were just focused on the Olympia because of the points. And then I realized I'm probably going to have to do Tampa now. And because my body was responding so well, we jumped into Tampa. And it worked. And we did try things different for that final week, because we wanted it. Because we knew we were going out for Dexter, like dryness was the goal. I wasn't happy with how I looked, but I still looked good. And that's, again, because my body was responsive and it wasn't so just tired.
What do you, like, ranking your packages from last year? We'll talk about the Olympia a little bit after.
Yeah,
sure. How would you rank them from, Indy to the Arnold to Tampa to the Olympia? Give us a ranking of each one, I suppose, best to worst.
I think the best I've looked all year was when I first walked out at Australia.
Really?
When I very first walked out.
Yeah.
When because a couple of the judges afterwards, they said, when you first walked out, we were like, he's won. But just that very first, like when I went, and then when I came back out for the comparisons, I just faded. I think it was again because it was definitely a water issue. I was quite full, but not super full. But I was very dry, and I think I started sweating, and I just went really soft and flat very quickly. And I remember they worked us really hard. I think I had 3 call-outs in a row. And we were worked really hard. And I remember like Cedric and Ruli were very soft, and Josh was quite soft when they came out. And they got much better because we were being worked hard. So they actually got harder and harder. Because I was very dry when I came out straight away, I just got softer and flatter.
Yeah.
So I think that first when you do your first minute individual routine.
Yep.
In Australia, that was my best. Then the Arnold at the night show, and then Tampa, Indy. And then obviously the Olympia last. Dead fucking last.
So obviously not a package you're happy with. But I've got to say as well, with the packages you brought last year, all of them were a little bit different. But I feel like there's such a fine line with your physique. It's either you're like the Arnold and you're like mind-blowing, you look incredible. And then if you're slightly off, I look at the photos, I'm like, well, you don't look that much different. It's just a tiny bit. But you get absolutely shafted for it.
I think I know what it is.
What is it?
I'm not vascular at all, really, especially when I'm in shape.
So when you're slightly off, you don't have the vascularity.
So I think, and that sounds like a really bad excuse, isn't it? What I mean is, like, someone like, let's say Josh, as an example. I've seen Josh winning shows looking 6 weeks out because he's so vascular and he's so big.
Yeah.
And I see, but if he had none of that vascularity, he would just look soft. And I think that it gives you that impression of condition when you're not actually in shape. And I think that's why, like, someone like Flex Lewis, who's not overly vascular, he has to just be crisp. And because he's always crisp, he always looks incredible. And I have to be that kind of crisp, otherwise I just don't look good, because I'm either in shape or I'm not. So like someone like Kuklo, he's phenomenal, but sometimes he can be a bit off, but his vascularity makes him look harder than he actually is. And I don't mean that negatively. It's impressive. But I do think having vascularity in certain places, if somebody comes out and they're a little bit soft, but their legs are crawling in veins, everyone's like, he's shredded out of his mind. Yeah. Because all the veins are everywhere. And it's like, I don't have any of that. I don't have that dry hardness that a lot of these guys have. But when I'm in shape, I do look pretty good. And it is a balance, and I'm trying to figure out. And I did each look was very different. Like Indy, I was probably the biggest I was, and my legs looked really full and separated in Indy. That really, but I was a little bit smooth from the front, but from the back I was really dry. Yeah, it's really weird. Again, I don't know what it is. But it's the travel, being tired. I'm not sure. But it's interesting.
Is it frustrating because you've said before as well, sometimes you just need to pull back to actually look better. Is it frustrating a little bit that you can't just go, okay, I'm not in good enough shape, I'm just going to push and push and push until I'm in shape? Because a lot of guys can do that, but you seem like you can't.
That's exactly what happens every time.
Yeah.
And I'm behind because my body's not responding, so I push myself into the ground. This is why it does frustrate me when people say that I'm lazy. 'Cause I've heard that quite a lot, or I'm lazy, cheats and stuff. None of that's true. My body's just a dick and just does what it wants. It's like it seems to be its happiest when it's being fed and my training's good.
Yep.
And there's like a little window where it responds really well, and I have to keep the prep within there. Every time I kind of move out there, like I push too hard or I don't push hard enough, nothing happens, or I get worse. So there's a very fine line.
For sure.
So I think, and that's what working more and more with Chris. He knows where that is because this last prep, when I was 6 weeks out, was the biggest and best I've looked 6 weeks out ever. So, and it was again easy as pie, this prep.
Yeah. So which comps were you going to do this year? And I suppose what is this year looking like for you now? Is 2020 over for you?
Yeah. No. So I was 6 weeks out from the British Grand Prix, which was supposed to be on May 3rd. So obviously that's not happening now because that'll be in like 2 weeks, which is very frustrating. But it is what it is. And then my goal was to win that show and then do the Olympia. And then I wouldn't be too tired for the Olympia. I was too tired. I hate saying it. I wouldn't be. So I would still be nice and fresh for the Olympia, because I could afford a little break after this show and then just do the Olympia. And last year shows me that I can do 2 shows comfortably. Like they say, I could have done the Arnold in Tampa just fine.
Yeah, for sure.
Which I did. So I know. So that's doable. But now, so I haven't trained for nearly a month, because obviously the lockdown and all the gyms are closed. So I finally bit the bullet and ordered a gym equipment that should be coming tomorrow. So I've got a whole gym going in the garage basically.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Everything I need to, so that can tie me over, and so I can train for the next kind of month. In all fairness, I haven't really shrunk.
That's good.
I look. You know when you start a prep and you're quite lean.
Yep.
And you get about 4 weeks in and you're starting to get leaner, but you're a little bit flat. But you're not,
Yep.
you know, that's how I'm looking like now. So I don't look bad at all. So
Yeah.
I could probably fill back out, get a bit tighter within the next 4 weeks and be within striking distance of, say, 8 weeks out from any show I pick. So when the calendar becomes clear, I'll be ready to kind of focus on something. And fingers crossed the gyms may be open then, because I would imagine mid-June, July is when, so I would say June is when the gym's going to be open again here.
Yeah.
And June will be about between 8 and 12 weeks out from what shows are on the calendar currently.
Yeah, for sure. And are you scared that if you do compete, just say the British Grand Prix gets delayed and then you're, okay, I'm going to nail that show, you win it, and then you're not allowed to either travel to the US or the Olympia's called off or anything like that? Are you worried about that?
It would suck a lot, but then I look at it like this. Prize money, some prize money. So
Always good.
It is my job for the day, so that's good. Also, I've got all the photos from the show. And the British Grand Prix, if they're doing it in the same venue, they have been doing their shows at. The lighting's amazing.
Yeah.
So if I look good, the pictures will be good. And also it's a way of not staying relevant, but it's also like another thing in your portfolio. So you get a new set of pictures, you get a whole new thing to talk about for a while. It's it's almost like you get a content bundle from doing a show.
Yeah.
You get to dine out on it for a while, especially if the pictures are good. You get like video clips. You see people who look good at a show, and for about a month afterwards, somebody will send them a phone video, and they'll post it again. And I love that. I love seeing that stuff.
Yeah.
And I also think one of the main reasons about doing picking shows, I always like the pictures you get afterwards, because that's what you remember.
Yeah, for sure.
The Arnold's over now when I did that, but the pictures will be forever, and that's what's important.
Yeah, definitely. So also what you're trying to get, going forward is your first pro win, which actually is sort of funny because I hear, Luke hasn't got any pro wins, and I'm like, oh, you actually haven't. And Nathan Diash has been one man to bring that up quite a few times because he's got 6, you've got none.
Oh, he loves it, and he's absolutely right. And I have nothing to say to that. I'm like, he's got me. He's fucking got me. Because it's true. That being said, me 100% versus Nathan 100%, I absolutely destroy him, and I think he knows that. And that's just my personal opinion. I love his physique. I think he's great. And I think he's a cool guy. He's funny. And I love the kind of banter we have between us. But yeah, he's got 6 pro wins. There's no denying that. On paper, he's the best bodybuilder in the UK. No denying it. But yeah, I do need that pro win. But it's not. It's very strange. My career's done this thing where it's kind of, I've done this like weird leapfrog.
Yeah.
Somehow I've like leapfrogged. I've just kind of like it's almost like all the top guys are there, and I've kind of shimmied my way in, and I'm like, I'm part of the team now. Hi guys, I'm staying. I'm here to stay. And I've like blagged my way in, and now people forget that I haven't even won a show because I'm talked about within that top 10 guy like list.
Yeah.
Because of the Arnold. But I think for me now, because I think based on what I did at the Arnold, and based on what this last prep was doing, and what Chris and I were seeing, I don't think it's silly to think that I could win the Arnold Classic.
Not at all.
So, but it sounds ridiculous because I haven't actually won a pro show yet. But there's so many that I could have won, based on who I've beaten and what's happened that last year and things. And it's like I've just been terrible at picking shows.
Yeah,
terrible because the lineups because they're like Arnold's or Olympias, or I've battered myself to get there.
Well, the Indy Pro that you did last year, that was a very good lineup. Then you also did Tampa, where you got, like I said, the most winningest pro of all time. And then at the Arnold's, obviously you did very, very well, but you did have the top two from that year's Olympia coming up in there as well. So you have had a sort of rough run, and you haven't competed in near as many shows as well. You've only done 5 last year, and then obviously 2 of them were Arnold's and 1 was an Olympia. So
so I always look at the people that I've beaten. And I think, well, I should have. I've beaten so many like top Olympians, and I've beaten people that have won numerous shows. Like I've beaten guys that have won like 4 or 5 shows, and I've beaten them 3 or 4 times now.
Yeah.
And that's not to say I'm not sitting here saying I'm amazing, but it's just a lot of it is I'm terrible at picking shows as well. I'm terrible when it comes to the timing and the travel, or I pick the ones that are too hard. That kind of without my reach. So, I mean, I do want to get that pro in. I mean, in an ideal world, I would love to be able to be good enough to win a pro show, do the Olympia, get, say, that top 5 or 6 at the Olympia, and then just do that next few years. Be that good. That would be the dream. So I'm hoping I can work my way up to that level in the next kind of year or so.
For sure. And obviously with your success, with competing and everything from last year going forward, now you're sponsored by Redcon 1. It seems like you've got obviously a good deal with them, and Fuad on your podcast, Bodybuilding Bollocks, likes to remind everyone you're sitting on a good deal there pretty much. But how much has that changed your life?
He is joking. And it's good, but he is joking. Because it was like, because some of the other offers I had before were so bad. That's why that kind of like, I'm bawling. That's why that joke comes from.
Yeah. So how much has it changed your life, though? Obviously going from probably getting very little in terms of sponsorship to actually having, solid sponsors and being able to actually free up your life at least a little bit.
It's been amazing. I feel quite frustrated that I haven't had a chance to really go for it yet, because this year was the first year where I was going to be solely, I only do bodybuilding now. This is it. And I was off to a great start. I was obviously at the Arnold, did the commentary. I was there with Redcon. That was amazing. Spent a week in Florida. We got loads of content. Everything was looking good. Training was great. And then this happened. And it kind of... And I'm still kind of... I feel guilty because I'm not doing my job as much as I should be able to do. But then again, I can't be doing that because it's not out of my control. But I just want to get back to that point where I was... So because I can't really answer your question. It's changed my life in an incredible way, but I haven't experienced enough of it yet because this happened in a way.
Yeah, sure.
But it was. I mean, I can't. I wake up every day. I'm like, how has this happened? I've said this on the podcast before. I feel like I'm an imposter. Not only have I not won a show and blagged my way into that kind of top list of pros that people mention somehow. I don't even know if I am there or not, but people keep telling me I am. And it's like. I'm also with Redcon. I do this for a living now. I just feel I feel like I've cheated my way up the table a little bit, in a way. Does that make sense? It's like
I know what you mean. Yeah.
I mean, and then people. I mean, a lot of people say, "No, you deserve this," and I'm like, I don't know if I do. But it's, I'm so grateful for it, and I love. Like, I mean, even you inviting me on this podcast, it's phenomenal. Like, if I didn't do what I do, you would never in a million years care or want me on here. So I love doing this kind of stuff, and I think it's just I think I'm so grateful that I'm almost scared to lose it in a way.
For sure, definitely, that's understandable. Now, coming up, obviously this year, if you're able to compete and everything goes well, you've got the Olympia, and then you've got Athleticon, which I think is called the Icon Champions, World Champions, or something like that show.
Yeah.
Is that something you've looked at or inquired about or anything?
Yeah. Well, have you seen the what you have to do to even apply?
Is it you have to win a pro comp or place top 5 in an Arnold or something like that?
No, you have to be current or past Mr. Olympia.
Yeah.
Place the Arnold in the top 3 this year.
Oh.
In the top 5 last year, or win a pro show in the 2020 season, and that's to even be eligible to apply.
Oh wow!
So if I won a pro show, I can apply, and I may or may not get it because I'd imagine they would want somebody from the UK here. And obviously Nathan's had troubles getting to the United States, so I think he kind of wouldn't be eligible just for that reason.
Yep.
The visa issues. I mean, unless it gets sorted, but I think they would like somebody from the UK, so maybe I'd be eligible for it. But if I got the opportunity, I'd love to do that show.
Absolutely, yeah. Well, if you win a pro comp, then yeah, I don't see why they wouldn't invite you, to be honest, man.
Yeah.
So that'd be great.
It would be amazing, but I'd have to really think about it because now, you know how I said about I get overexcited and so I was like, when I got the Arnold invite, I said to Tony, yeah, I'll do Australia. I shouldn't have done it. I should have just done the Arnold and maybe just done Indy. And it's like I need to stop getting so overexcited.
Yeah. I mean, I do the same thing. Like, literally, like, I got second to pretty much to winning my pro card last year. I was like, I'm going to compete again straight away and win it. Yeah. And then I realized that's not good. My body was tired.
Because I feel like I could have. It could have gone this way. I could have done the Arnold, come home, stayed at home for a month, gone back to the States, and I've been as good or slightly better than the Arnold. I could have won that show.
Yeah.
And then I could have placed, and then because I would have had some rest, and then I would have looked much better at the Olympia, and I could have placed how people wanted me to.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's the thing I've learned. That's always a thing to learn. I've learned that from last year. It's just not like chasing that carrot all the time.
Is that something you do in general as well? Like you say yes to everyone, and then go, yeah, maybe shouldn't have said yes to that person.
Yeah, yes and no, but mostly yes. but I like to, if I'm not busy, I don't like that. I like to constantly be doing something, and I enjoy it as well. And it's like it's all. I think it's good for everything as well. It's not many bodybuilders do this. Not many. I don't know why. Maybe they just don't want to, which is fine. And I've given this opportunity, and I enjoy doing it. It's good for Redcon. It's good for me. I guess it might be good for you, because you might guess. I don't know. I mean, on your channel, that's phenomenal. It doesn't need me, but it might. I don't know. I guess it might help everyone. I think more. I kind of want more bodybuilders to do it.
Yeah, for sure.
More.
Same.
I want to do this kind of stuff because I think what makes it interesting is It's like in UFC. A lot of the time, it's not just your favorite fighter; it's your favorite person.
Yeah, absolutely.
Certainly. I mean, it's like, I mean, a lot of the time, my favorite bodybuilders, it isn't because of their physique; it's because of who they are as people.
Yeah.
And I think if a lot of these bodybuilders came out and started doing more things like this, which is a good thing to do, I think they'd start maybe developing more of a fan base, maybe becoming more of a worth and more valuable to a company, and they would start actually getting the sport more interesting again because you actually start rooting for the athletes, not just the physiques, the people. And I think. Again, that's why I enjoy doing this kind of stuff, and I really enjoy the fact that Redcon make me do a lot of video stuff. So
yeah, for sure. Now, a perfect example of that is Jay Cutler. I mean, he's been my favorite bodybuilder the whole time.
Exactly.
I didn't know. Like, I actually look at him now, and I look back at his physique, and I go, "Am I really a fan of your physique, or is it your personality?" Because I'm not sure. Because I sort of like both, but I'm like, but he's just by far my favorite.
Exactly right. Exactly. So the main person I always look at is Dorian.
Yeah.
Now, if I could be like Dorian, I would be like Dorian, but we live in 2020 where you can't be like Dorian. No. I can't just disappear and no one sees me for a year. Love it, I can't. But I also look at Jay as like the businessman of bodybuilding. It's like, it's not really about money for me. I've always been much of the belief that if I work enough for what I love, the money will just come, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Makes sense. So it's like I don't care about earning money. It's like as long as I pay for my kids, I pay for my house, and I'm good. But that's fine. I do this because I think I just like doing it, and I got a lot of that from Jay Cutler because he just does everything and he works a lot. So I kind of think they are probably my top 2 actually favorites of all time. But I get inspiration from both of them, and I just wish a lot more bodybuilders would kind of do what Jay did, because it makes things really interesting. Because even when we look back at our careers, we can look back at Jay's career and we can see so much of it. But you look back at a lot of these other guys' career, because they didn't do anything, we can't see anything. We can only see the odd picture here and there, maybe a couple of interviews, not much.
Yeah.
And that's the stuff that really lasts. And that's why Jay Cutler's still relevant today, because you can still go back and watch him training legs from 1999.
Yeah. And another thing as well, part of the reason why I think you've been successful, why Jay's been successful, why a lot of these top people have been successful is because they offer so much for free, whether it's, whether you think it's valuable to someone else or not. Yeah. You're doing a podcast with Fuad, you're putting out heaps of content through your own YouTube, you're putting out stuff through Redcon, you're doing interviews like this. And the guys that are being successful in the industry are the guys that tend to say yes straight away. Like I messaged you while you was asleep, probably 3, 4 a.m. your time, and you woke up and said, hey, it's 8 a.m. here, mate. Like, yeah, when do you want to do it? I'm just like, sweet, that was easy, And other guys, I've had to hassle. I show up and go, cool, ready to go. And then I just don't hear anything for a day or 2 days or 3 days or whatever.
I think it's just because, it's free. It is free, but it's also valuable.
Yeah.
It's very valuable. Because it's like if I do this on your channel and it's going to get lots of hits, I'm wearing a Redcon 1 t-shirt,
Yeah.
In a way, it's good for everything. Like I said, it's kind of, and it's not even smart. Like people say, "Oh, you're so smart for that." It's like, no, well, not really. I just say yes and wear a t-shirt. That's it. But it's not that difficult. And a lot of people say, "Oh, there's no contracts anymore. There's you can't make a living in bodybuilding anymore." Well, you can. I'm telling you can.
Yeah,
you're
absolutely.
just not able to do it, and it's not that difficult either. And it's not even really work. I'm just sat here having a chat.
Yeah,
and this
exactly.
I'm sat in my house in front of my real wall, having a chat.
I've noticed you've been leaning back on it and hitting it. And I'm like,
I always do it and make it flap. And it blows people's minds. They're like, he's in the Matrix or something. There's something going on with his wall.
And I've got to say, like, what you and Fuad do with bodybuilding and bollocks, and what he does with a lot of his other stuff as well, was phenomenal. Yeah. But did you set out with that podcast for it to be like so off topic with a bit of bodybuilding in there?
No, he had me on as a guest. Like, Fuad and I have been friends for a couple of years, and he just had me on as a guest, and it did really well. And people kept DMing him and said, "You guys should do a show together." And we did 2 with no name. And they got like way more hits than we expected.
Yeah.
And we just kept doing it. And we were thinking, should we have some kind of formula to this show? And we don't. And we never did. And it just worked. So we don't bother with it now.
Yeah, you just do it.
Well, we've got some cool things that we had Craig Elias on the last one. We also had a listener come on for like a couple of minutes. That kind of stuff I think we're going to start doing more of, because Freud likes interacting with people.
Yep.
Again, that's another thing it's weird how like that podcast has just gone. It's just huge.
Yeah.
And I don't understand that either. I think it just feeds my imposter syndrome. How is it that popular? It's just gone from, because I've tried to listen to it. I'm like, I don't know how people listen to this.
It's because you've already heard it.
I think that is it, and because it's me saying it, I'm like, oh, you dick! Why did you say that? Because I always mostly see the clips he posts on Instagram, and sometimes I don't even share the clips because I'm like, I can't believe I said that. But it's fun, and people like it, so it's good. No, it's free. But it does serve some value. But I think it's, again, like when I'm an old man, I can look back at my career and all the videos I've done, all the content, everything I've done is going to still hopefully be there to look back on.
Yeah, exactly.
Which is cool.
Now, I wanted to go full Patrick Bet David on you. I was going to literally print out 6 bodybuilders from the 90s, hold them up and go, how would these guys do in your era? But I literally just didn't have the time. So let's talk about the 90s versus today, because that's been a topic. I mean, I'm sort of sick of talking about it, to be honest, but people still seem to be interested in which era is better, which era would win. We saw the whole thing with Dexter Jackson versus Sean Ray just recently, and Dexter went pretty hard if you saw that video. But he's saying he would smoke him. So what do you think about the whole 90s versus today and Dexter versus Sean?
Well, the Dexter versus Sean thing, I haven't watched any of it because I honestly couldn't care less. I'm just like, you just bicker on, old man.
If you want to laugh, seriously, listen to the Dexter one. Like,
I love Dexter. Oh no, I did watch some of Dexter because before I had it on the show. No, Dexter's one. I love Dexter. Dexter's just funny. I watch his stories. Never know what the fuck he's talking about, but he's so funny.
Yeah.
But the so what is it? The Sean and the 90s. So 90s versus today. Do you know what it is? Everyone compares the top 6 Olympia of that era to everyone today.
Yeah.
You know? to everyone. They'll compare like somebody who's won like the Lisbon Pro to Kevin Levrone.
Yeah.
It's like if you go back to the 2090s, look at the pro qualifiers, not the pro qualifiers, the pro shows, just the average IFBB pro shows. Then you will see shit condition and shittier physiques. I promise you.
Yeah.
But everyone just remembers the best bits because only the best bits have been documented.
Yeah. And another thing that I think, sorry,
I think so. I kind of think I love that era because again I've seen all the, and it's nostalgic, isn't? But I don't think. I think a lot of the guys today wouldn't. That look might not translate today. If it's a difference in what you prefer, that's fine. But to say which is better, I don't think you can say that because it's just different.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. And another thing that I just wanted to side with, I suppose, today's era a little bit is that everyone goes, look at that Olympia lineup from 1996, and they go, look, this guy was down in 10th. And it's like, it will be a guy that, later in his career was finishing second, third, fourth. It'll be a Chris Cormier or something like that. He finished in 10th. How good must have that Olympia have been? And it's like, well, not everyone was on, and some of them it was their first year at the Olympia, and so they sort of just think of them at their best in one lineup. Where today's Olympia, or just say last year's Olympia that you did and came 11th, people go, Luke Sando was in 11th. That must have been the most insane Olympia ever because you went on to win the Olympia, place top 3 or whatever,
But in real life, I was just an absolute mess. That's what. And it's like, I think a lot of the time history doesn't remember that stuff.
No.
And I always said, and I think Fuad and I said it on our show once, which led to us having to go on the Iron Debate on RX Muscle.
Yep.
With Lee Priest and Dave Palumbo. And all our point was, people in that era came in off, just like today in this era, coming off. Not everyone was perfect. Everyone kind of thinks that era was perfect and everyone was perfect every time, and they weren't. There were times when Kevin Levrone was way off. There were times that Lee Priest came in a fat fuck. It just happened.
Yeah.
And that's not to take anything away from them, because I've done it. It still happens today, but that's just been a part of bodybuilding, and people just kind of give that era a pass because most of the pictures that exist are all of the best ones.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. So, Luke, thank you so much for coming on. I really appreciate it. I just want to ask one more question. Now, your training today has gone, you've said, more from the high intensity of a Dorian Yates style, more to the Jay Cutler style where you're doing more volume. Is that because you're later in your career now in terms of you've built the muscle and now you're just trying to volumize it and maybe just work on a few weaknesses? Or do you recommend this to people that maybe have been training for a little bit less than you?
No, I think for me it's just the time has come to do that. I had an injury earlier in the year that I was quite lucky wasn't far worse. And again it wasn't actually from lifting. Basically just long story short, I was kicking some dumbbells I've done multiple times. The bench wobbled, and I twisted off to the side, and I got basically a partial pec tear. So it wasn't me lifting too heavy, but that just kind of reminded me that you're a human being, not a machine. Not that I ever thought I was a machine, but it was more like, it was just a reminder that I need to calm down. I don't need to be lifting insanely heavy because I have all this muscle. And it's not like people are saying you need to be bigger. It's not. That's not what I'm being told. So I just thought, well, I need to improve what I have. And I can still lift heavy, but it's changed now. It is that whole refinement thing. I can still train heavy, and I'm still trying to put on muscle in certain areas, but that's not the goal now. Isn't for me to get stronger anymore. The goal for me now is to become a better bodybuilder. Yep,
absolutely. Well, you've worked towards that very well over the past 2 years, and what you've done, I suppose, in your short sort of career so far. So when do you see like an out for you out of bodybuilding? Like, are you setting up things now business wise and go, okay, in 10 years I want to be done, or in 15 years I want to be done, or whatever?
I have a goal. I mean, I'm going to be in Redcon for the next 5 years. And in that time, my one goal that I've said with Aaron, the one thing we both want to achieve with me is I want to win the Olympia. It sounds ridiculous, but I believe I have it in my capability to do it. So it's up to me. So I'm going to do everything I can. If given the opportunity, I'm going to do that. I just want to do what Eddie Hall did with Strongman. I'd like to win it once and just fuck off. That's what I'd like to do. Just disappear. Not disappear, but just retire from competitive bodybuilding and do other things. But we'll see. I might become very competitive and want to do it again. Who knows? But if that were to play out, that's what I'd like to do. I think after that, I'd like to kind of do what Jay's been doing. be more of like not an ambassador, but kind of like how Eddie is a strongman. He's kind of branched out into other things.
Yeah.
And that's something I've always wanted to do. It just happens I have an example now. He's actually done it, but from strongman, that's always been something I would have liked to have done after bodybuilding.
Yep. Do you think you'd want to travel as much as Jay? Because he travels like a lot, and a lot of it is obviously it helps his business, but he just goes to these expos and just shakes hands and does all that stuff.
No, I have zero issues. The only time I don't like traveling is when I'm in a contest prep. If I'm off season or I'm not a competitor, I'm absolutely fine with traveling. It's nice. Cool. It's not a problem at all. It's just annoying when you're a competitive bodybuilder. But if I'm not a competitive bodybuilder anymore, like I'm sure Jay enjoys it now, whereas it used to be a chore for him.
Yeah.
But I mean, I'd love to own a gym or two as well. I mean, the gym, my hometown gym, which is about 2 hours away from here, is the one I'd like to one day buy that from the owner, do it up, and it's just be my gym and move back home and just retire and live by the sea.
Yeah.
and own a gym for and just, I don't know. It's I honestly don't know. I have things in the pipeline now, like obviously the YouTube channel's on hold, but that's going to be pushed massively again when the apocalypse is over. I've got a merch line coming out. I've got another merch line coming out with Redcon, as well as my own merch for YouTube, as well as that channel. I've got a couple of other like things outside of bodybuilding I might look at doing, but really the focus is being the best bodybuilder that I can be, and hopefully that will earn me a Sando.
Yep, that'd be awesome. I'd love to see it, man.
I don't want to take on too much now that could potentially distract from that.
Yeah.
So that's my job right now.
For sure.
And to document that on the things like this on YouTube, on the Instagram, through Redcon One, and kind of document it all the way up to when that happens.
Yeah, that's smart, man. And I've heard, like, I don't know if you follow Gary Vee or not, but he talks about that documenting. He said, just document your life, just document. And
well, that's what all this is. That's what all this is. Like, I was watching one of those Machiavelli motivation videos, and he put loads of stuff from my old house in there, from where I lived with my ex, and there's some of all the like different things on the walls in the house, which is partly why I won't post it. It's all extra to the walls, but it's like that's part of my life.
Yeah.
And I like the fact that that's been captured, and a lot more is going to be captured from here, from now to then. And this show we're doing right now is part of it. Yeah, and it's all part of like our lives. It's all part of everything. I think that's what's quite cool about these days. It's like this morning on my Facebook, a picture of my son came up from 3 years ago, and it's just like that's what I love, and that's what I think one of the positives about social media is these days.
Yeah, and definitely.
That's why I just want to keep doing what I'm doing and try and be the best I can. Hopefully, it'll be good enough.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Luke, thank you so much for coming on Desktop Bodybuilding. I really appreciate it. Do you want to give a shout out to Redcon One and any other sponsors or anything like that?
Just Redcon One. Redcon One have been great. Obviously, Chris Cito has been great. Muscleworks Orpington have been a huge supporter, and obviously anyone in the UK listening to this and you are still trying to stay in shape. Muscleworks Orpington has a online food prep company where they actually cook it all in their catering facility on site. It's all weighed and measured. They're still doing a lot of my food, and that's life-food.co.uk, and they literally weigh and measure everything, which is good.
Makes life
so
so
I'll
much
give them a shout out as well, because they've been helping me so much, and the food's great.
Yeah.
And it's all about food, especially when you're bored. That's bad, isn't it? That's what's been bad for me, is snacking. That's why they're so good, because I've got the meals in the fridge. If I didn't, I'd be just a fat bastard right now.
Yeah, man, I've definitely been feeling it a bit. I've gone from comp prep to just like it's coming out, so I've definitely felt the difference there.
I've even cut my hair differently because my face is all puffy. So yeah.
Sweet, man. Awesome. Thank you so much for coming on Desktop Bodybuilding. I really appreciate it, bro. And thanks for being so good in terms of communicating and stuff. So
pleasure. Thank you.
Luke Sando, third place finisher at the 2019 Arnold Classic, and maybe a future Mr. Olympia. Luke, thank you so much.
Thank you, man. See you soon.
So there it is, my last interview with Luke Sando. And, listening back to this myself, it's like, you hear about his future and what was planned, and it's heartbreaking that that's not going to happen anymore. And what's even more heartbreaking is that he's not around for his kids anymore. So if you can find it in your heart to donate anything, if it's $2, it doesn't even matter, or £2 or whatever it's in, just please do it, because it means the world. I mean, if everyone that watched this actually donated a little bit, just say this gets 25,000, 30,000 views. If everyone donates $2, that's 60,000 pounds. And that's just a huge, huge help. So please find it in your heart to donate and support Luke Sando's kids and family. And Yeah, it really would mean a huge amount. And if you are struggling yourself, please reach out. There are actual links to prevention hotlines as well to certain countries in my description. And like I said, the GoFundMe's down there. There's links to previous videos I did about Luke Sando and all that sort of stuff. So there's a lot of stuff in the description. So please make sure you check it out. And that's it for Xavier Wills and of course Luke Sando. We are out.
Luke, good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you all. Bye.
Bye, guys.